everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the Cedar Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up, and Lord knows what kind of controversial topics they're going to get into, so stay tuned for that. Lots of great guests coming your way in the whole half hour, so I hope you'll be with us. And what we want to start is talking about a new product. We're going to do that with two great ladies. One who's a friend of the show, has been here many times before. Karen Barnes, the CEO of Agile City Winston-Salem, and Karen's brought a special guest with her, Mary Ann Clark, CEO of something called All Pure Nutrition, Inc. Good to see you, ladies.
Thank you, Jim. Nice to meet you.
Karen, let me start with you. Let's remind us, for people that are new to the area, remind us what Agile City is all about and why Ms. Clark is here.
Absolutely. So the signature program of Agile City is the Venture Winston Grants, which is a startup grant competition that works to recruit and retain really promising startups to the Triad in the areas of the future of healthcare, the future of aviation, and the future of food, nutrition, and agriculture. And Marianne and George are here today from All Pure Nutrition. They kind of cross over really into food and bev, but a little bit over into healthcare. And they are doing some really promising things using milk as a platform.
I just think that's great. All right, let's learn about this. Marianne, what is All Pure?
We are a developer and a researcher and a marketer of dairy-based beverages.
And what kind of target population do you have for this?
Well, everybody needs good nutrition.
Right, and you being a nurse, I don't know, we may not have that on screen, but yeah, you know, you're a nurse, and so you've had that background of caring about healthcare.
And especially today, millennials and Gen Zs, they want healthy products because they understand that they have to stay healthy in order to do well in life.
Sure, but now let me play devil's advocate here, and we see some of the products up there. But in your drinks, it's one thing to say that kids and young people want to eat and drink healthy things. How do you make your innovative products attractive to them so they will do it?
Because they are good.
I've tried them. They taste like orange creamsicles.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. My first idea was, why can't somebody carbonate milk? Because kids are not drinking milk.
Right.
And they should be.
They should.
And my husband he's a biochemist, and so he said, well, it's the protein. And I said, well, he doesn't, he loves challenges.
Yeah.
So he went in the kitchen and finally one day came out and said, here, try this. And I tried it and I go, what is it? He goes, it's your carbonated milk. And I go, oh my God, we got to put this out because it is so good.
So George came up with this.
My idea, but he's the brains.
Wow, how about that? Yeah.
He's totally science.
Now, other than the fact that it's healthy and nutritious and whatever, what's the other value? What's the value of, say, these over traditional, I don't want to show the product, but, you know, things that others drink, soft drinks, things like that. What's
different?
Yeah.
They all start with water. Water's okay.
Right.
But then they have to use other vitamins and minerals or chemicals. Some of them are good for you, some of them aren't.
Right.
So you're not getting, and all of them have so much sugar in them.
Right.
So they're not healthy. But we take milk and we take out all the lactose because everybody thinks that they're lactose intolerant or they're allergic to milk. But we take that lactose out. So now we have milk that has hardly any calories.
Before we lose time, I want to get you very quickly. How has the Venture Winston Grant helped you?
Great. They gave us an opportunity to move to Winston-Salem, where it seems like they want new ventures to come in. Number two, it gave us an opportunity to work with Dairy Management, Inc., which is the national group that promotes milk. It has given us the opportunity to be able to work with North Carolina State University, so that we are trying to do now is put a small pilot plant in there so that we can get a small production run going.
Exactly what you wanted, right?
Milk is the next superfood, and it's all happening here in Winston-Salem.
Right.
I think you're super. I think both of you are super. I think that's great. And we gave George some credit, too, even though he wasn't here. All right, up on screen, allpurenutritioninc.com, allpurenutritioninc.com. Also, agilecity.ws, check that out. And a good shout-out and thanks to Spencer Baird, all the great folks at NMAR Intelligence. NMAR.com is their website for helping to suggest this segment. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today, and always glad we can spend a few minutes with the good folks at Northern Regional Hospital up in Mount Airy. And this is a returning guest. We don't have her here often enough. She's so busy, but glad that she's back now. Dr. Elizabeth Bond is General Surgeon at Northern Regional Hospital. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about how common breast cancer is either in this area or nationwide or whatever. You have any statistics or feeling about that?
Yeah, so breast cancer is one of the most common cancers, and it actually occurs on average in 1 in 8 women, which is 12% of women. So it's pretty common, and I think that one thing that's important about breast cancer is how many people it affects. Everyone knows someone, whether it's a family member or friend, who has had breast cancer or who has passed from breast cancer.
Right. And I guess this question, it sounds like a stupid question, but why is screening so important? I know that follows what you just said, but why is it so important?
So screening is important not only because breast cancer is very common, but because the sooner the breast cancer is found, or even before it becomes a breast cancer and can be removed and treated, the earlier stage that the breast cancer is when it's discovered, the better chance that that woman has to be a survivor of breast cancer.
All right, Doc. Now, what about women who ask the question, well, when should I start having mammograms?
So in general, we recommend that women with an average risk of breast cancer start getting their mammograms at the age of 40. Of course, that's something that's very individual for each patient, and they should talk to their personal doctor to decide whether or not they have any risk factors that would lower that age.
I'm glad you mentioned risk factors. Can you give me a couple examples of things that put you more at risk?
So one thing that we kind of take for granted is gender. So obviously breast cancer is more common in women. Of course, it's important to note that it can occur in men as well. But being female is one of the highest risk factors, as well as increasing age.
Now, let's say that you've diagnosed this and the woman meets with you, and you're a surgeon. So what are her options? What do you do with her and for her?
So I'm a general surgeon, so I do a lot of different types of surgery, but one of the types of surgeries that made me interested in becoming a surgeon was breast cancer surgery. I think that the relationship between the surgeon and the patient is very important. And so I discuss with patients that there are surgical options. One option in some patients is a lumpectomy, which is just removing the breast cancer and trying to leave the normal breast tissue. And some patients elect to remove the whole breast, which is a mastectomy.
Right. And you and I have talked about this before, but I want to repeat it because I actually do hear this from women who say, I understand what the doctor's saying, but I don't want to know. What do you say?
So I think that that's everyone's choice to, I just let patients know that I want to give them all of the information that they need to make an educated decision. In patients who don't want to know, as long as they understand the risks of that, there's nothing I can do to convince them otherwise, and that's okay. But I do encourage them that the sooner we find something, the more treatable it is.
Absolutely. And as you said, the options are there with various things, some that involve surgery. And I just think what you're doing is so important, and I appreciate what you're doing to help people and to save lives. I want to put this general website up on screen, though, while I'm thinking about it. ChooseNorthern.org is the general website for Northern Regional Hospital, and I hope you will check that out. But Doc, thanks so much for the information that you're sharing with us. It's so important year-round, not just in special months. Will you come back sometime?
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I
All right.
appreciate it.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, time to visit with a friend of ours who has been a while since we've seen him. We're glad to have him back, and he's in a new sort of capacity with us. Elbert Lasser is now interim president of Randolph Community College, and of course you know him from doing workforce development when he was here before. Welcome back to the show.
Jim, always good to be here. Good to see you.
You and our friend, former President Bob Shackelford, worked very hard to bring industries like the Toyota battery plant to the area and to the region. So let's talk about that for a second. What impact will Toyota specifically have on Randolph Community College, and the community.
Definitely, we'll start with the community. Additional career opportunities for our citizens and citizens surrounding Randolph County, other counties as well. That is the biggest impact that it will have. 1,750 jobs initially, an additional $1,700 jobs after 24 months. And when all said and done, close to 5,000 jobs for our community. But for Randolph Community College, gives us an opportunity to revamp some of our programs and how do we stay on top of training and education that for electric vehicle jobs, automation, et cetera, not just for Toyota, but for our surrounding and companies as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of examples of things that in programs that you have in place that I guess could continue or expand. I'm thinking right offhand, you emailed me one day about public school partnerships and things like that. Talk a little bit about some of the programs that are going to work well for you and the college and the community as these industries come in.
Yeah. So right now, North Carolina, a lot of companies are coming into North Carolina and Randolph County and Toyota, et cetera. One of the things that we're doing, I think, that is going to make a difference in providing a workforce that is ready for the new jobs that are out there is partnering with our high schools. We have a robust apprenticeship program for one. And at the very least, how can a high school student graduate from high school with a certification that he or she can use to go into a career, add on to that certification by going to the community college or to the university?
Yeah, and the thing about it, and you and I have talked about this before, that y'all do so well at Randolph Community College, is work with area industries so that you're not just having courses and people getting certificates or degrees or whatever, and then, well, good luck.
Yeah.
You're really sort of making sure that you're tailoring what you're doing to what the industries need, right?
Absolutely. Not just a certificate on the wall. Do you have the education or training necessary to meet the needs for the job that you're seeking? So again, partnering with the high schools is critical, but working with our business partners. We have customized training directors that are out meeting with business and industry to ensure that the training that we're providing is meeting their needs. If not, if they've got new technology, new software, how do we help them?
Because if you're not doing that, not only you're not helping the existing industry, but we're not looking very good to people that might want to come here with the industry. So it's good that they know that you're on the job doing that.
Absolutely. One of the reasons that we're getting the Toyotas of the world and other companies, they see the work that we're doing at the community college and that training and education we're providing.
Finally thing, do you guys get any additional funding because of all this extra stuff you're doing, or what?
Absolutely. Part of the incentive package for Toyota was dollars from the state that we're going to use to hire someone to focus on that training for Toyota. It helps Toyota, but primarily it ensures that we don't lose sight of the existing companies that we're already providing training for.
Amen. Absolutely. Up on screen, randolph.edu is the website to find out all sorts of information. And I tell you what, I really applaud what you're doing, Albert, and thanks for everything, and I hope you come back sometime.
Always good to see you. Thank you so much, Jim.
All right, see you soon. We'll be right back after. Right now on Triad Today, time for our visit with Mr. Theater, which we try to do every month, and he is right here with us. Dave Briggs, director of the High Point Theater. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Jim.
Before we get to some great shows that are coming up, which is, fun stuff to do, let's start a little bit serious, because you sent me an email one day and said you guys had recently participated in what was called, I want to make sure I get this right, an active shooter training session. What was that about?
Well, actually, we haven't participated in it yet. It's actually taking place on Tuesday, October 11th.
So it's coming up.
It's coming up. And the public is invited, but they do have to register through the High Point Police Department. I kind of started this discussion with the library and the museum and Park and Rec with the city of High Point, because we're soft targets. And it's something I don't really like to talk about, but the truth is, we have a lot of volunteers, we have great staff, but they need to be trained in what to do in the event that
Just like
something
in
this
schools,
tragic happens.
except-
Exactly. So that's what this training is all about. And what you're going to learn in this is how the High Point Police Department and local law enforcement agencies react and respond to active shooters. Now, we know the run, find, hide. Those are the three biggies. But there are other ways that we can also protect ourselves in being alert and we don't say don't ask, don't tell. We want to say if you see something, say something.
Right. That's interesting. So that's coming up, and then people can, I guess they can speak with folks at the police department or
Yes,
go over it
absolutely.
and participate. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that. Maybe that'll start a trend and some other communities will do that. All right, let's get to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
We have some big shows coming up. We've talked about them briefly before, but let's start. Saturday, October 8th, Tannehill Weavers. So let's remind everybody what that's about.
Well, the Tannehill Weavers, and that's tonight if you're watching on Saturday.
Right.
They are, I think they are the best Scottish folk music group ever. I mean, I can say that I've known them since 1987.
Right.
And I've seen them perform many times. I've presented them several times. They're always fun. They always bring out something new. And they're just great guys. And their music is just, it's amazing.
That's just great. And I hope for the folks that are watching on Saturday morning, I think there's a few tickets still
Few
left
tickets
to that.
still available. Hope
If you're
you'll come.
watching Sunday, you missed it, but there's a lot more stuff coming up. On Saturday, October 15th, coming up, Kathy Mattea.
Kathy Mattea and Susie Bogus together. So
Okay.
we have these two amazing performers, multiple Grammy Award winners, CMA Award winners. Where Have You Been? 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses for Kathy Mattea. You've got Outbound Plane and so many others for Susie Bogus.
Right.
They're not just country stars. They're really Americana and country, and they tell great stories. Kathy Mattea is one of my all-time favorites, and her delving into her coal culture. She came from West Virginia, and Susie's from out west, and their music combined is just beautiful.
What a great team, great duo. Jimmy Webb, Friday, October 28th, Up and Away.
Up and Away, MacArthur Park,
Yeah.
and then Wichita Lineman by the time I get to Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his catalog is enormous, and he talks about how he came up with the songs, and he plays and he sings, and he's just a phenomenal entertainer. But listening to him talk about how he created these songs is
Oh,
amazing.
wow. I can't wait. Lone Star, Saturday, October 29th.
Lone Star is just an incredible country group. They've been around for almost 20 years now. Amazed, from my front porch looking in, those are some of their hits. They're multi-platinum artists that won several Grammys. They're outstanding.
Up on screen, highpointtheater.com. Remember, you got two T's back to back there, highpointtheater.com. For lots of information about the shows, it goes in depth about that. So please check that out. It's a great website, 887-3001, fastest, best way to get tickets. You going to stick around for the roundtable?
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, almost time for the roundtable, but first a quick shout out to the good folks here at Cedar Botanical Garden in Kernersville. It's a beautiful place to visit. Check out the website, check out the garden. Have a great facility here for various things and weddings and meetings and luncheons and everything. You can do just about anything here, including wish Ogie a happy birthday. And Ogie, happy birthday to you.
Birthday,
sir. On my right,
Thank you,
Ogie
Jim.
Overman, but always on the political left, a great broadcaster and journalist. And you just heard recently from Dave Briggs, director of High Point Theater, and Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, let's get to it. These days, the media, it seems like they like to really hype political debates and how special they are, and they criticize candidates who don't participate in the debate. Guys, are debates useful or useless, and do they change anyone's mind, Ogie?
You know, they used to be very useful. I don't know in this political climate whether we're so solidified in our positions, and Herschel Walker, hello. But I still think they're necessary. I think the candidate owes it to the people to get up there and state his opinion.
Useful, useless, change anybody's mind, Dave?
Well, as an old debate teacher, I think they're quite useful. It also allows us to see some insight into how articulate a candidate is.
Right.
And to get their ability to express opinions in a logical way, because they're going to go into a legislature where they're going to have to do that very thing.
Gee,
In today's political climate, articulation doesn't go with some of these candidates. It's just they're solidified in their parties. But you definitely need a debate, because there are a lot of people in the middle that need to decide it, and policies matter. They really matter. So
All
we
right.
got to have a debate.
All right, changing subjects. Here in North Carolina, homeschooling rose to record levels during the pandemic. I think we all knew that. But most of those students and more are staying with the homeschooling. Now, since federal and state funding for public schools is based a lot on enrollment, should public school boards offer incentives for homeschoolers to return to the classroom? I don't know what the answer is. I'm throwing it out to you guys. Ogie.
I don't either, Jim. I've been a strong proponent of public schools my whole life. But on the other hand, a person does have the right to teach their kids at home. So I don't know, maybe if you gave them, demanded that they show cause to why they're homeschooling. I don't know if that helps any or not, though, really.
Incentives, what do you think,
I
Dave?
don't know. Perhaps incentives. I do think, we talked about this before, is that when the students aren't going to school, they aren't on the rules for the federal dollars. If those students want to participate in any co-curricular or curricular activities, they still have to go to their home school,
Right.
to the school where they're supposed to be in.
Near their neighborhood.
And maybe they can be counted in that way. I don't know.
Keith?
I think the socialization of kids is important, and many people don't have the capacity to homeschool their kids. So I think the incentives is that you don't allow these kids to be homeschooled unless there are certain criteria in place for homeschooling.
All right. 33 states now exempt clergy from reporting child sex abuse that they learn about during a confession. In some cases, the predators continue to be abuse children as they're protected by this secrecy. Now, fortunately, North Carolina is not one of those. They're one of 17 states that still requires clergy to report the abuse or else face 6 months in jail and pay a fine. Now, here's the thing. If these states that are exempting clergy, do you think there should be a federal law requiring them to report that? And states like North Carolina, should we up the penalty? What do you think, Hoagie?
I think North Carolina actually got one right for a change. And I wouldn't mind to see it federalized. No, I wouldn't at all. But 6 months is okay with me, too.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not much for federalization, but I do think North Carolina has this one right. Also, are clergy mandatory reporters? Because I think that plays into this as well.
Yeah, if you go and look at the code, the way it's structured in North Carolina, it says they're specifically clergy not exempt in North Carolina, but in 33 states they are. So there's no confidentiality thing. Keith?
The exempt part kind of bothers me because these people are abusing kids. It should be a federal crime. They should go to prison for more than 6 months. And if you don't tell, you should go to prison. It doesn't make sense that this group is the only group that can get away with child abuse.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to me.
All right, we may get some criticism from the Catholic Church, but the Mormons believe in this. A lot of preachers and denominations support the exemption. California Governor Gavin Newsom just enacted a law that will limit the use of rap lyrics as evidence in criminal proceedings. He wants to make sure that prosecutors don't criminalize, quote, creative expression. Quickly, guys, is this new law a good idea or a bad idea, and would you like to see North Carolina do it? Hoagie.
I don't understand the question, Jim. Does it mean like if a rapper is on trial for, say, burglary or something?
Or maybe he says that these lyrics prompted him to commit a crime, or...
I still don't understand it.
I initially
sorry.
thought this was a First Amendment issue, but actually it's far deeper than that, because in many cases, prosecutors are using these lyrics prejudicially against somebody who may or may not have actually caused a crime. So I don't like Gavin Newsom in general, but I think this is a good law.
Keith?
I think me and you are on the same page on this one.
Yeah.
They're using this in Georgia against these rappers, Young Thug. They're using his lyrics against him. And that's sort of like using actors' words against them. If you're a criminal or a serial murderer in a movie, using your words against you, I think it's wrong and it should be outlawed.
All right. Finally, speaking of California, people who live in California now have a new way to be buried. Instead of being cremated or buried in a coffin, you can choose to let your body decompose for 45 days, and then your remains can be composted in a bed of wood chips. Guys, would you like to become a compost pile in the afterlife? Hoagie.
I'm a member of the Green Burial Movement, and my wife and I are going to become trees.
You're going to become trees.
We're going to become trees, yeah.
All right, Dave.
I'm already going to be charred into dust and probably spread around a golf course.
You're okay with that. Keith, what do you think?
Do you want all this decomposed right here? All of this right here?
No, I've actually seen some of your answers decompose. Some of your answers have really. All right, well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Last week during the horrible hurricane, there was this reporter in Florida who was out in the middle of it. She wanted to protect her microphone from the elements, so she put a condom over the microphone. Asked why she did that. She said, "Well, I'm just practicing safe sound." It's kind of a.
That's one of your best ones, Jim.
Who cares? All right, we'll be back next week.